Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie and I am just bringing you a life update, pregnancy update, because it's been a hot minute and I will tell you all about why it's been so long. We've had a lot of sicknesses in this house and work life. You know, I'm a working mom of already a little toddler who's 2 now and pregnant with baby number 2. So let's just jump right in. So since the last update that I posted, which was a month ago, I believe, and it was like up through week 22, a lot has happened. Just gonna kind of hit symptoms because there are not a whole lot, and then we're just gonna kind of talk about life in general and just all the things that have been going on. So my indigestion / heartburn, whatever you want to call it, has started back, and it started back about week like 25, 26. It just kept getting like noticeably worse, and to the point where it was like 3 nights in a row I'd like slept on the couch, and that's just not fun when you're pregnant because it's so hard as it is to like roll over and try and get comfortable, and then you're on the couch trying to do that, and it's not fun. So I finally remembered to ask my doctor when I went in. I think I was week 33. And I asked them if there was anything else I could take other than Tums, because Tums just was not cutting it for me. And they told me that I could take Nexium. Now, remember, I am not a doctor, so talk with your doctor or your provider if you are suffering from heartburn and indigestion like I was. But I'm telling you, I went into the doctor on Tuesday and I started taking the Nexium that as soon as I got back to work. The next day I started taking them in the morning, and I have not had an issue. I've had a couple of times where it's like a little bit, but not anything like it was. And so yeah, it has made just a huge world of difference so far. I've been getting really, really tired, again, like I was in the first trimester, and all I want to do is sleep. And it's hard because I'll hit it it's like that time comes in the afternoon and I'm just like trying to keep my eyes open with like toothpicks, or on the weekends, I just know that there's so much that still has to get done before baby girl gets here. And I just want to nap so bad, but I know I need to get things done, and it's like which one is going to weigh out and win at the end. So it's a toss up every day. My leg cramps started about week 24. I remember waking up that week just having a horrible cramp and having to get Jason jumped out of bed and like ran around and was like massaging my leg, and I was just doubled over like crying. It hurt so bad. I hadn't even moved and he had finally like gotten this spot out, and I just took a breath and it cinched back up and just tightened back all the way again. And so I don't even know how long he stood there like trying to massage my leg out, but yeah, it was awful. Thankfully it was just the one time so far. Hopefully we're past that part, but I have noticed that at night sometimes if I try and like stretch my legs out, they just feel really sore or really tight. I have noticed over the last couple weeks, because technically I am 37 weeks pregnant today, and I have noticed over the last like probably 2 to 3-ish weeks, I've started getting swollen in my like from my knees down, calves, ankles, feet, especially by the end of the day. And if I'm walking around a lot, it's even worse. And then I started noticing that I was getting Braxton Hicks contractions around like week 27. And I asked my doctor if that was too early for them, and she said no, not necessarily. So nothing to be concerned about. Some days I can go like days or a week or so without feeling anything, and then there's a couple days in a row where I'll feel something, and so it just it's hit or miss. For me, because I always heard people say like, oh, Braxton Hicks, but I never heard anybody describe like what they feel like. So for me, they just feel like menstrual cramps. Like if I didn't know that I was, obviously if I wasn't pregnant, I would just feel like I'm about to start my period. I hope that helps. If you are wondering what Braxton Hicks are going to feel like, that's what they feel like for me. So in terms of like symptoms, that's pretty much it. I haven't had like any big cravings, no aversions, nothing like that. Everything has gone well in terms of doctor's appointments and stuff. We did our growth scan at week 32, and baby girl was measuring 4 pounds, 5 ounces. I can't remember what the length was, but I think she was like 49th-ish percentile or something like that. So everything from there was good. I was getting really nervous leading up to week 36 because we were going to do another growth scan, and that was when we knew everything with Matthew that something was going wrong and we needed to deliver early. And so I've just been very antsy leading up to this date and just to this doctor's appointment and all that. So, but in terms of symptoms and stuff, that's pretty much it. All right, so let's catch up on life and all the things that happened in between all of the pregnancy stuff. So Matthew had been like week 25-ish, 26. Matthew had been sick again, and we had just stopped his medication on Monday. Tuesday, he woke up with hives just all over his body. I had gotten him up out of bed, gotten him in the kitchen, was about to feed him breakfast, and I just noticed something on like the back of his neck, and I was like, "Ooh, hold on." And I got him like under the light, and I kind of like unzipped his little jammies, and he just had like hives all over his chest. And I was like, oh my God, what in the world? I'm just not good in these situations. Like this is not my strong suit to be the medical like person when the trauma or the like big things happen. I need somebody else to like calm me down and tell me what to do. And so I immediately called my husband. I was like, I don't know, because everything I read was like he wasn't 2 years old yet, and so it was like Benadryl was not an option, or not that I realized was an option, and we didn't even have any baby Benadryl or anything like that. Anyways, to begin with, he wasn't acting weird, or he wasn't acting like it was bothering him. So I went ahead and kept him home from daycare that day because I wanted to figure out what was going on. Thankfully, that day it just stayed from like his neck down, and nothing else really developed from it from there. We went ahead and went to the urgent care because we had like a cold front freeze kind of thing come through the DFW area, and so his pediatrician, I could not get a hold of them. I should have just gone up there because they were open, their phones were just down. Got him home, got him some steroids and all that kind of stuff, and then Wednesday he woke up and it was all over his face. His body was worse, and I have had a history of hives, and I know how miserable it is. And my heart broke for him because there's nothing I could do. We were trying the calamine lotion. We went to go see his pediatrician that day. I didn't know if it was because of the medicine that he had just come off of from his ear infection, all the things. So thankfully, after we went to the pediatrician, she increased the steroid that he had been given, and it finally started to go away after a couple of days. But yeah, taking him back to daycare, I think that Friday, I obviously had a note. I was like, he's fine. He's not contagious. He just looks really bad, because he still had, the splotches and everything on his body, and it just broke my heart to see him like miserable like that. So we think that we're past all of that. And then 2 weeks later, whenever I was 28 weeks, I passed my glucose test that week, so yay for that. But Matthew had come home like Wednesday night, and he was just kind of like complaining about his stomach hurting. Just kept telling like tummy hurts. And every day it was like getting worse and worse, and he was getting more and more like irritable every day. And we were like, what in the world's going on? So Friday night we kind of realized that we hadn't seen him, or we started going back through his like daycare reports, and I'm like, he hasn't pooped since Wednesday. So we're thinking, okay, maybe that's something that's going on. We tried to do like a suppository thing on him Saturday morning. It didn't do anything. And he was just getting more and more like, he would go through bouts of crying, and then he'd be okay, and then he'd cry, and then it was just, you could tell he was in pain and miserable. So we end up at Cook Children's that day on Saturday to try and figure out what's going on. We did x-rays, we did an ultrasound on his stomach, and yes, found out that he was definitely blocked up. We're gonna try this again without my camera dying. So like I was mentioning, they did the x-ray, they did the ultrasound on Matthew's stomach, and determined that yes, he was constipated, and we did need to get an enema. And so once they gave him that, he definitely like pooped within 5 minutes, and we got to go home at like 1 a.m. He was such a trooper. He was so good. He went back to daycare that next week. He finally like had a really good, solid poop on Thursday when they called and told me. I just like started crying and called Jason, and then had to like stop myself and say, everything is fine with Matthew, but he finally pooped. And so we thought we were completely out of the clear. And 2 weeks later, I was about 30 weeks pregnant. On Sunday morning, Jason was pushing him around in this little like plastic tub. They were having so much fun, like playing around in the house, and I was going through the nursery and just all kinds of fun things. And then it was like lunchtime hit, and he just started like going downhill. He did not nap very well that day, and when he woke up, it was like almost screaming, crying, and then he would stop, and then he would scream and cry, and then he would stop. And I just finally told Jason, like, if you think we need to go back, then let's go. So we go. back to Cook's, and they did the same thing, did the ultrasound, did the x-ray, but they couldn't get a good reading, so they had to do a CT scan on him. Finally, they came back and said that they thought it was appendicitis, and my non-medical kind of background, I was like, what does that mean? And my husband was like, it means surgery. So that was not fun. So we ended up spending 4 days in the hospital with him because it was not appendicitis. Once they finally got in there, it was what they call mecal diverticulum. I had never heard of that before in my life, but it is apparently something that kind of looks like a finger, and it's on your, I think it's on their intestines, and it just never, like, we all apparently are born with it from the way I understand it from the doctor. And so to remove it, they had to like surgically like go and obviously cut it out, but they had to, the way his was, they had to cut out part of his intestines and sew those back together. And it was an automatic 48-hour hospital stay after that. So as all of this is happening, his birthday is Friday. We're still in the hospital. I'm like, oh my gosh, are we like gonna have to cancel his little birthday party and all of these things that we have going on this weekend? And they said no. They were like, he's kind of limit him for 2 weeks, but he knows his restrictions. He knew that something happened. You could tell, like, he knew he had an owie, because if you asked him about it, he would lift up his shirt and show you his little belly button where they went in. And I mean, if we didn't ever tell him that something happened, he would probably never even know that he had surgery. It looks that good now. So, but once we got home and everything, we did have his birthday party that weekend. We went to the zoo again on his birthday on Friday. Party was Saturday, and then Sunday we did the baby shower. Needless to say, like, this mama was flat out exhausted from just the terrible sleep in the hospital, and then just having all of the things going on at the house and getting the house ready. And I was worn out by the end of that weekend. But so far, he is doing amazing now. He eats like a champ. He, other than like a little stuffy nose or like a runny nose or whatnot, he's been just as healthy as can be ever since then. So I'm so, so grateful for that. I have just been taking all of the like breastfeeding classes and just baby classes that I can. I'm doing them through Aeroflow. So if you are expecting and you're like wondering what you should do, I think Aeroflow is one that if you're covered by your insurance, you can get a free breast pump. That's where I got mine. But they have all these classes that they offer, and it's like apparently something new, because I'm like, I had to call and talk to one of the customer service ladies, and I was like, is this something new? Because I don't remember classes 2 years ago. And she said yes. So I highly recommend them. There's only been one that I was not a huge fan of. The rest of them have all been super helpful. And had I had these classes when I was going in with Matthew, I bet our breastfeeding journey would have been a lot easier. So I'm just taking them to just refresh my memory and jot notes down and stuff, so that I can just kind of be prepared a little bit more when we're in the hospital and welcome baby girl. So we did maternity pictures in week 34, and those turned out so, so good. I'll insert a couple of them here just to show you, but Matthew did so good. We got the ones of him like kissing my tummy, and he did so good that day. I was so excited to get those pictures back. So week 35, I packed my hospital bag. I got snacks and all of that stuff. My sister went to the store with me, and we just kind of loaded up on all of the things to take to the hospital. I do have that filmed. I am in the process of trying to edit that as well, so I'm not sure which one of these will go first, but that video is coming. And then this last week, we went to bed one night, and Jason got to feel baby girl have the hiccups at night, which was hilarious because I never really could feel them with Matthew. But with her, I feel them all the time. When she gets the hiccups, I know it. He was just saying that it felt really cool because you could like feel it on one spot, but then you could like also feel her moving like around your hand. And he was like, that was just super cool to kind of feel of. Other than that, this last week, the last couple of weeks, I guess, I've just been very emotional. Just kind of realizing that my time with Matthew is coming to an end. We're not going to have our special, Matthew mommy days anymore on Fridays, and he's gonna no longer be my only baby. And it just, all the thing, knowing that this is most likely my last baby, and this is my last time to feel her inside me, and then I have to share her and expose her to this world that we live in, and it just, all the things. So I have good days, and then I have days where I just feel like I cry all day long. The only other thing that happened this week is we did do our growth scan, like I mentioned, and everything came back great. So baby girl was measuring about 6 pounds, 6 ounces, which is way more than Matthew. Matthew was only measuring 5 pounds, 5 ounces. She was about 19 inches long, so she was about, they said 55th percentile. So that means my placenta is still going and kicking, so thumbs up, yay. And what that means is just that I don't have to get induced quite as early as what I did with Matthew. So baby girl can just stay and cook a little longer until she's ready to come out. They will induce me. We do have our day scheduled so far, assuming she doesn't come before then, but they won't let me go past my due date just because of my age and IVF and just all of the things that put me at high risk. Going past my due date is not an option for us. So if she doesn't come on her own, which I highly doubt she's going to, we do have a date already scheduled to induce. So she will be here in no time. I say that I don't think she's going to come on her own because when I went to my doctor this week, I was 1 centimeter and 40% effaced. And my doctor even said, she was like, yeah, she's still really high up there. And I'm like, yeah, she's nestled in. She's taken up residence and she's just chilling in there. She's not moving. So I don't think she's going to come on her own. I have a feeling that we're going to be induced. That is kind of it in a nutshell. Like I said, just a lot of hospital visits, a lot of sickness, and in between all of that, I have been sick with head colds and stuff, and it's like once we get one of us better, somebody else goes down, and thankfully, my husband really hasn't gotten any of it. It's just really been like me and Matthew going back and forth between things, and so just kind of like, I just need us to stay. We've had a good stretch, so I'm hoping that, fingers crossed, say all the prayers that we stay all healthy as baby girl gets closer to coming. But yeah, that is a big fear, like of Matthew going and being in daycare and bringing all the germs home, and how do we keep her healthy and all the things. And so yeah, it's just kind of one of my fears, I guess, that I have right now. So that is pretty much it for this video. Thank you so much for watching and for staying through the whole thing. If you found it helpful, or if you just enjoyed catching up with me, give it a big thumbs up. Click that little subscribe button if you have not already. Probably kind of a longer one, and I apologize for that. I try and keep these a little shorter, and it's just been so long, and I just wanted to fill you guys in on everything that had been happening, and good and bad, and just ask for your prayers for me and for baby. Just make sure you leave your prayer requests down below. That way I can add you to this week's prayer list, and I will talk to you again soon in a new video. Take care and God bless.